Happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday.
I'm James.
Why did you say
I'm gonna get to that in a second.
Oh, I know why. I'm Judge Evie.
And this is Living for Crits, and I was told that I'm not supposed to say judge right now because I made a meme on Facebook about how I'm crushing hard on Shadow the Demon Lord at the moment. I did that one meme where you have the dude with his girlfriend and he's looking at the other girl, and I had the one girl that he's with being Dungeon Crawl Classics, but he was looking at Shadow the Demon Lord, because in 2020, the game I've played the most right now is Shadow the Demon Lord, I think. Followed very close. Maybe it's even Steven with DCC. It could be pretty close to even. So I hope you're all having a good night. Greg's asking a great question. How can a 3-day weekend feel so short?
I didn't tell the shrubs.
I don't know. It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts. And I'm sorry, we are not the most organized tonight. We are a bit struck by, we don't have show notes completely prepared. We threw this together real fast. But unfortunately, or fortunately, we've been working on the Walls Dungeon Tavern. It's hard to see here, but our cloth map of Numenera, of the ninth world, is up. And then we actually were working in the unfinished side. We're going to have like a treadmill and an elliptical next to each other. And on the whole wall, the whole unfinished wall, we have all of our DCC posters up. We have D&D posters up. We have a big Numenera poster up. All this cool stuff up that we've always wanted to hang, but it's like in poster form. And we've framed posters before, but we've got a ton of posters up.
That's a lot of posters.
We got our Trapsylvania stuff up. I'm pretty sure you're happy about that.
Moving on.
So
next question.
Week 2 in Trapsylvania. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, well, we almost died. Actually, no.
We did.
We almost turned into, what is it called? What were we,
What happened?
What were we almost turned into? Tofu? What's
tofu? You were almost turned into vegan scrapple. Hey, Shannon.
That's what it is.
But that's not what happened. What happened was, didn't party members actually die? Why? They had to use their save point. Why did you have to use your save point?
Because, okay, so we were in a line to go to the basement of this bazaar.
Of the Traps Bazaar in Grimtooth, Trapsylvania.
So we were in the basement. We're going into the basement.
4 of you got a good number. Like, you were in order, like 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then...
And one of them, Justin, had to go,
like 7,422.
Yeah. And instead of just waiting, he had to make a big scene saying, like, all this crap. And then... Oh, wait, no. What's her face? The grandma.
Agatha? The thief?
Yeah, went to go backstab someone, and it, like, failed, right?
Right.
Yeah, and then there was this giant scene, and they tried to all blame it on me for the backstab thing. And then they were like, you have to get out of here. And then this dude's like, yo, if you're my test subjects for this thing, then I'll, like, let you out or whatever. And well, 4 of us drank it.
And what did it turn you into?
It just killed us.
That's right. I killed off 4 members of the party. It was great. And then...
We're not dead, though.
And then...
now we're just shrunken.
Kiddo numero uno, my eldest, went ahead and went back to a save point. And we're trying the save point feature. Now, we're using the console Cowboy Rules out of the Cyber Sprawl Classics game, and it required August to do some hacking, and because every save point can be corrupted. So when they failed their hacking roll, what happened was the corruption, we did some random rolling, when they came back, their action figure size. So now they have to interact the world at action figure size, and they've learned that using a save point does not always mean they're going to come back just the way they died. Actually,
they're not dead.
No, you are trapped. You are trapped in Tylo Sven's. He's going to serve you as a meal.
We trusted him.
We trusted Tylo Sven. That was wrong. So we are about 1/15 of the way through this mega adventure.
That's it?
That's about where you're at.
That's it. We've had like 2 whole sessions.
You're not getting that far.
You said we would have made it in like
3 sessions is what I thought, but they can't pull it off. The other thing this week, I've been playing quite a bit of Shadow of the Demon Lord. I played yesterday morning with my regular crew. We were at 8th level, and the game has descended into hell itself, so that's a lot of fun. And then today, this morning, I ran a one-shot of Shadow of the Demon Lord playing an adventure called The God Below, and I ran that for a bunch of friends off of my Discord server, and that was a lot of fun also. And I inserted a lot of body horror, like liquefied skin, like inchworming towards things, all kinds of crazy crap. It was gross. It was great.
And this is why we should play it. We should let the shows play.
You can't play Shadow of the Demon Lord.
Playing.
You can play Shadow of the Mad Wizard when that comes out.
No, I don't want to play that.
I was gonna kickstart enough that I was going to get core books for Shadow of the Mad Wizard for all your friends.
Oh, that'd be snazzy.
Yeah. See?
Oh,
yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Man. All right. I've been playing a lot of Skyrim, and I've been getting a lot of heat for that from the family. In the last week, I've discovered Skyrim. I never played Skyrim really before.
It's terrible.
But you can play Skyrim on a Switch, and it is really fantastic. I've put like 21 hours in this week on Skyrim.
Okay, wait. Okay. So he'll be like, we're like, okay, I'll be watching Glee because
you're watching Glee.
I'm watching Glee
because you just discovered Glee. It was like the same age.
Can I go on? You're like, can I go on the TV just for 1 minute just to check this one thing out, and then I'll go right.
That is not the voice that I use.
And we're like, okay, sure. You're like, just 1 minute, I promise. And then 2 hours goes by, and you're like, what? Huh? And then we're like, get off of Skyrim. You're like, no. And then you play like forever. So 1 minute's like 2 hours.
That's not true.
It is true.
It's not true.
It's very true. Ask anyone.
Greg says so many systems I can't learn anymore. This is the only system you need. This is the Nintendo Switch. We're going to talk about this tonight because our main topic tonight is Animal Crossing, because Judge Evie picked. We're going to get to that in a second. But Nintendo Switch is the ultimate game system. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you dock it into the system, and then you can take your Joy-Cons off and do your thing, right? With this projecting to your TV. Does it have the same graphics and video gaming power as an Xbox One or a PS4? No. Or your computer? No. But you know what? You can take it off of there and go lay down in bed and play Skyrim in bed. Now, could you play with a laptop in bed? Yeah, I guess you could. But you could just play like this. It's so nice. I mean, this really is and it's a touchscreen. I mean, it's the best. This is my new favorite gaming system of all time. I've had it for 2 years.
It's like one of the easiest. I've had it for
right before the pandemic.
Yeah, 4 months.
Because we have 4 Nintendo Switches in our home. We had 2. We got 2 more. So everyone has a Switch. The downside means that everyone needs to get a copy of the same game for everyone to play it. And that can get expensive since have everyone in the house play the game we're going to talk about, which is Animal Crossing. And don't worry, those of you who aren't video game fans, we're going to lay it back into gaming. We're going to layer it in. But I had to get 4 copies of a game that cost $60. So that's $240 of Animal Crossing. That's a lot of Animal Crossing. For a game where really, it's not quite my game. Like, I finished Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on this thing and Octopath Traveler, which is like a JRPG. Those are my favorite games on there. And then Skyrim. And Witcher 3 just came.
Yeah, there's that. And then there's me who plays Just Dance in Animal Crossing.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So let's go into our Judge Evie Presides. We have 2 questions. One is from Greg that we're going to do first. The second one is I'm going to, think a bit. I'm going to think about we have a great question from Will Keller, and I kind of want to see if we can talk about some of it this week. But it almost feels to me like a question that would be good for a whole episode. But we're gonna go through it. I think.
What are we doing first?
We're gonna do Greg's question first. I'm gonna read Will's questions that's so long. All right.
That's the question?
Yeah, it's the question.
Oh my goodnesses!
It's a great idea for possible topic of discussion. So.
Okay. Well, Greg's question. Oh wait, that's not Greg. That was Daddy Pasta. Okay, here we go. Greg, do you ever find yourself acting or talking like one of your characters when not at the game table?
It's a question for you, I think. Because I don't play that much.
Okay, not like in like regular, like I don't talk like them, but like when we're doing our like nightly shrub FaceTimes to 4 in the morning. I mean, not nightly, not like that ever happens. When we do those, we'll like be like, oh, like if we were, I'm trying to like. Bab would be like, oh my gosh, Justin would be doing blah 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 right now in this scenario.
Because Bab
like,
plays Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or John will be like, oh blah blah blah. What's his face?
Kyle, the Walmart wizard.
Yeah. He would be doing this. Like we say like what our characters would be doing and like.
I think that I do notice that you all refer to each other in character form pretty frequently.
Oh yeah.
In fact, the fact that their group calls themselves the Shrubs, which essentially is a term that came from a DCC campaign when they all got mutations. It's kind of cool.
It's just moss. It's not even a shrub.
No, it's not. It's not. Lex is on. What's up, Lex? You are not that late. We are just getting started on a very odd show, I think. No, it's a good question. I used to, my mom actually called me this week to tell me that she found one of my spell books, which was an interesting conversation to have with my mom. So when I was a kid, my favorite classes when I was a kid playing basic D&D and then second edition Dungeons & Dragons was magic user and then mage. And when my friends would all be outside and we'd be playing with like swords and shields and the Nerf bow in the woods behind our house, they would all play as the thief with like the plastic dagger, or they would play with the bow and they pretend they were the ranger. And I would always be told I was playing the wizard because I was the mage anyway in the game, so I would be the mage. And I would make spell books out of composition books. So I would take a page. Why is this not funny? I would take a page and I would write out what the spell was. I'd copy it from the player's handbook, and then I would draw some kind of sigil or rune, because I played a lot of Ultima Underworld and Ultima Underworld 2, and I would write out, that stuff. Rob's saying my first character was an elf in the red box. I loved elves also, so I had a name for my elf wizard. I was, and it was funny, the book my mom found was a lockable diary that is spelled.
Oh my gosh, no.
And my elf wizard's name, and I was a little younger than you, was Link James Emerald Blade. What do you think of that? Isn't that a badass name? Link James Emerald Blade is a badass name.
Okay.
Anyway, I would not talk like Link James Emerald Blade because I think he just talked like me. It was my alter ego, and he was also an elf because my main wizardy character in the ongoing campaign at the time was a 3.5 foot tall gnome named Lucky Lightfoot. And Lucky, I couldn't be Lucky outside because I was obviously taller than 3.5 feet, so I would be Link James Emerald Blade, the elf fighter mage.
See, there's names like that. Then there's Betty.
But Betty's, what the heck? So used to LARP. I don't know if I'd call it LARP. We didn't have any rules. We would essentially get fake weapons. We'd make rations, and what rations were was we'd pop popcorn, and then we'd crush up ramen noodles and seasoning, and we'd dump it into the popcorn, but the ramen noodles was uncooked. And we'd make that as rations, and then we'd go out into the woods and like kick around dead possums and light fires. Not like big fires, but like, you know what I mean? Like we'd have matches and stuff, and we'd try to like make a fire and stuff. It sounded a lot worse than it actually is. We didn't cause any fires in our neighborhood, but we would try to like make fires and stuff.
The poor possums.
They were already dead. So. Greg says you would rehash prior sessions talking to myself in character. I used to write game recaps for Deadlands in Al Swearingen's voice, which I can't repeat now. Al Swearingen from Deadwood.
Why can't you?
That was a fun question. I like that one. All right, I'm debating this for the next show. So I'm going to read Will's question. Let's think about this here. This is Will's question. And I don't know if it'd be appropriate for a Sunday night discussion with. Oh, I'm sorry. Got an idea for a possible topic of discussion. I don't know if it'd be appropriate for a Sunday night discussion with Judge Evie, or maybe something we just hash out with people in an ad hoc Zoom call. Also possible. What makes DCC feel like DCC? And how far can you push it before it feels like something else? Like Lankmar is way less Gonzo than stock DCC. Hubris goes pretty far in the other direction. If I use DCC to run some other OSR setting, would it still feel like DCC? If you use Shadow the Demon Lord to run through Sailors of the Starless Sea, would it feel like DCC? Or like Shadow the Demon Lord? Is there a point when something like 5e makes sense? How far can you push DC as a rule set before a crack starts to show? My copy of Ultraviolet Grasslands arrived, and it's mostly system agnostic. It comes with some rules, but I don't think they're meant to be taken seriously. My first thought was, of course, DCC, but the more I read through it, the more I think it feels different than DCC. Maybe it's just lack of experience on my part wedging DCC into things. That's a really great question. I think it would be an awesome Zoom chat. I think that, we probably should set that up to maybe have a conversation with a group about that and maybe off video. But I'd like to tackle parts of it online. I mean, on here on the show. But before I go into this, do you want to say anything on the topic?
Well, I mean, I've run so many other systems than DCC. Like so many. Like I've run like almost every system possible besides DCC. So like, I just don't think it's fair for me to answer this question yet, because I think I would just be able to say so much. It would take away from what you're gonna say.
All right, let me take a shot at this here. I think that well, so it's a tough question. And maybe this is where I start to like take the judge hat off for a second and look at DCC objectively. There's things that DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics, does very well. There are things, I know it's sacrilegious to say, that Dungeon Crawl Classics doesn't do well. Okay? There are things where it's not the ultimate game. I do enjoy it way more than D&D 5e. But I enjoy Shadow of the Demon Lord and Cypher System way more than 5e also. And I'm also quick to say that 5e is not a bad game, because it's not a bad game. It's not. It's a fine game, and people who play it, that's great. It's just not a game for me. Where I think I think you have to look at Dungeon Crawl Classics definitely has some very distinct flavors even within DCC. Lankmar is nothing like stock DCC in terms of the gonzo. There isn't that gonzo in Lankmar. In fact, they even toned down Mercurial Magic and turned it into spell stipulations, which does an awesome job to make the system feel more like a low magic system. But it's a totally different game. It would almost be a totally different system. There's enough difference between second edition AD&D and first edition AD&D as there is between Lankmar and base DCC, because the classes are different, the spells are different, magic's a bit different, corruption is different. They change a lot. So you could say two different games possibly. I've not played Hubris. I know it's a bit more gonzo. I've run Sailors in the Starless Sea with the Cypher system. It felt like the Cypher system because you don't have that swing. I think DCC starts to break down, or doesn't feel like DCC if you were to take the swing out of it. If a first level character can't do a corruption spell burn to death and just nuke the whole scene. Like in Shadow the Demon Lord, you can't take down the big bad in one hit at first level. It's just not going to happen. But in DCC, you can. But DC. If you want a game, I don't know anything about Ultraviolet Grasslands except the art looks amazing. But if you have a game where you don't want to be one-shotting baddies at first level and you want less swing, DCC isn't your game. The cracks start to show when playing that style won't fit. And I'll give you an example. I ran a Vikings game based on the TV show Vikings, kind of, with the Vikings handbook, and it was a lot of fun. We used DCC with it, but I don't know if the wizard in that game, it did not feel like a low magic wizard. It did not feel like Floki out there It felt like freaking DCC Wizard. So this is a great topic for conversation, though. I mean, I would not. This is where I've changed a bit in 2020, having played a bit more of another game that's a fantasy game, because DCC was my go-to fantasy game for so long, because I didn't like any other fantasy games enough to switch. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing in Shadow of the Demon Lord right now. I really do like it. I think it gives a flavor of fantasy role-playing that's different, but lets you experience a lot of that, like the character options that, and gives players agency. Whereas in DCC, a lot of it's random. Some games in DCC, like Lankmar, let you have some control over character design, but oftentimes you're playing what you rolled in 3d6 in order. I will say that Lankmar is my favorite version of DCC. I think that Lankmar truly does. DCC Lankmar truly is the most fun, most exciting, tightest rule set for Dungeon Crawl Classics, because it does tone down some of the swing, and it does temper magic a little bit, and it does give characters some agency. So that's my take. It should be a great Zoom chat. I do think that going in this any deeper as an episode would be tough, because you haven't run anything else.
I don't know what you're talking about. I run like so many things. I've run No Thank You.
Greg says, try No Thank You Evil in Warhammer 40k. And Rob said, recently played Warhammer 40k roleplay and was super impressed. So, that's a great question. I think it should be a conversation, like a Zoom chat. Well, we got to do that, okay? So, hit me up on Zoom. Let's set that up. Maybe pull in Mark and some of the other folks from the Discord server. So, yeah, I think that was fun. Let's go into Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
I should say, if you want more questions answered, email them to dccjudgeev@gmail.com. All right. Let's so we don't forget, let's pose for our picture here. Wait, hold your switch up, because we'll always forget. And then turn your screen on so we can see your character. Okay. All right.
Oh, you can barely see them.
That's all right. All right, I'm gonna just shift it. Wait, did. All right, pose. There we go. We got our picture.
We did it.
So this is me in Animal Crossing. I'm King Flourish, and you'll note that I am wearing a sweater and my crown and boots. Go ahead and show your character off.
Oh, I'm just Evie, and I look like that. And I have pool glasses, and I have an espresso machine. Your volume is so loud.
It's okay. Go outside for a second.
I have an espresso machine, and it works. And I have a bunch of plants, and I have this giant bed.
Go outside. And the reason I have a sweater is you get to set what hemisphere you live in. So, Judge Evie, show where you are real quick.
Well, I mean, I just live in like the northern hemisphere. Whoa.
And I live in the southern hemisphere, so my character is experiencing snow right now. So, anyway, King Flourish and Evie got together last night with the other two characters in the house. What's Cooper's name on there?
I think it's Cooper.
Oh, okay. And Ella's name on there is Virgil. So, all four of us got to hang out last night in a family game of Animal Crossing New Horizons, which is on the Switch. You can, I think you can only get it as a download. You can buy it still. You can get copies of it in print, or not in print, but in cartridge form. What is your island called?
Honey Days.
And my island is Flourish Key. And how do we fit this into a role-playing game conversation?
You spelled it wrong.
No, C-A-Y. You can say key that way.
No, it's K-E-Y.
No, it's...
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's the more appropriate spelling.
Doesn't it look like key? It looks like
It
K.
is. Whatever. How do we talk this into role-playing? If you don't know what Animal Crossing New Horizon is...
Then what are you doing?
It's on Nintendo Switch, and you build an island, you decorate it, you go fishing, you pay off loans, because everything costs debt in money called bells, you unlock achievements, and you hang out with friends, and that's it. And
that's not it.
you
can
finish
get people on your
you have to find other guests to come to your island, and the game is beaten when, what's the guy's name? KK what?
KK Slider.
When KK Slider come
Yeah.
host a concert at your island. That's the game. And it is the most peaceful, zen, non-combative game like of all time. It's just relaxing and chill. It's perfect for like the pandemic apocalypse we're living in right now. It really is the perfect game for that. Aside from Skyrim, which is a lot of that, a lot of those features also.
Oh my gosh, no.
So I thought that, I was trying to think of how we could talk about this. And are there any role-playing games out there that could give you a similar experience to this? And could you, how do you think you would be able to turn this into a role-playing game? You picked the topic. You picked this. This is a role-playing game show.
I'm thinking. I had an idea, but it's stupid, so I'm not going to say it.
I mean, the obvious answer is that Cypher System, or Numenera, does have the Destiny rules, which lets you build a community. And you get to experience some of these features in a role-playing game. And if you hit 9th level in the old D&D games, you got a castle if you were a warrior, or a fighter. You got a keep, and you could build a entourage. So
you could do like an adventure where it's like your island's dying and you have to go find people to come live on your island.
That would be a cool adventure. Would you use your actual island from the game?
If you could.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah. And you could have a Nintendo Switch on a screen maybe, and you could like have it as a centerpiece and just use that to show where things are and have encounters happen at the screen. That would be really cool. That's actually a really good idea. Yay. Would you use DCC for that?
I don't know.
What would you use for that? What's a good role-playing game for that kind of thing? Shannon says it's a Jane Eyre RPG. I did not know that. Isn't isn't there a game called Microscope where you build a setting? I don't know. I've never played it, but I think there's a game like that. But yeah, I mean, I think that the concept of building a community is a different type of role play experience that, I don't think people enjoy it. I mean, a lot of role playing games are about exploration and finding things and discovering things. And with a game like Animal Crossing or a game like Destiny for Numenera, the Destiny rules, I mean, it's forcing you to plump down and to deal with maybe the social structure of the island, of the community, and deal with what's going to happen within the community. Greg says you need a chart of random complications to overcome. That would be great.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, kind of like, so when you're playing Animal Crossing, it happens in real time. So if you play it today, things may not happen until tomorrow in real life. You have to come to it the next day. So, maybe what you can say is that, between adventures, something happens. Again, I referenced Ultima Underworld 2 earlier, and when you would go into the underworld and explore and come back to the castle, there'd be complications. There was a strike by all of the housekeepers at one point you have to deal with, and, someone gets sick you have to deal with. So maybe you could have there be between adventures, if you have a base of operations, you can have events occur that you get sucked into, dragged into. What was I playing? It was like that. Keep on the Borderlands could be kind of like that. Okay. Rob says the 80s plot fits. Your island is being foreclosed on. The only way to save it is host a concert. Hijinks ensue. Leave it to the Savage World GM to break that out, and the A-team has to show up, right? And I guess I did you a synopsis of Microscope, okay. So, I don't know, what would be fun about playing a game where it's around a community or building a community? How would that be fun?
Well, there'd be lots of, it wouldn't be, all, fighty.
So you want a little less fighty sometimes?
Well, it would, yeah, if you want, a game that's not as fighty, more, role-play, it'd probably be good for that.
Do you think that's a good experience to have?
I think so.
So we should play less Dungeon Crawl Classics?
No, I'm saying in general. You said, how would it be good? And I said, that's a generic thing.
So, would you like to see a campaign built like that, or you think it's more of just a here or there? You think a campaign could survive, where every
Probably.
week you were dealing with just the problems of a community?
I mean, it depends on your players.
Okay, how would your players? How would the
The
shrubs
shrubs
do
would
it?
love it.
The shrubs would love building a community.
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, in their free time, we've designed like an entire mansion for the shrubs characters, and we've made, yeah, like, yeah. There's a lot of other stuff.
That's something to think about. I think it would be fun to have a game based around a party staying in one place, maybe. Urban adventures, games where the party is in one city. Our Lankmar game that we played with your mom and Cody and Shannon. That took place in just a city, and things you did in the game. Remember, things you guys did in actions had an effect on the city, like when you helped the Mingles out, and then you rescued those children from the boat that were being enslaved.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
After befriending them. So I think I come back to the DCC Lankmar again, but if you wanted to do community building within a community, DCC Lankmar would do a phenomenal job for that if you were going to play DCC and have that kind of experience. I think that another good system for that would be to you could use. I know this is going to be
Don't you say it.
You could use D&D 5e.
You said it.
I used to be a fan. I don't have my books for it anymore, but I ran a very fun Eberron campaign back when I was in school, in grad school, and where it was remember Melinda would come over and Craig would come over, and it was called Thieves of Eberron, and the players were all thieves. It was a 4e game. They were thieves, a party of thieves. They weren't all thieves, but they were characters who had thievish abilities. One was a rogue, and like one was a wizard, and they had different classes, or artificer. But they were based in Sharn. In Eberron, it's a game where you can run urban adventures in this massive city with these huge towers, and it was almost like a New York style of city in a fantasy setting. And they were based in Sharn, and every adventure took place in Sharn with a new heist, and every session would be part of a heist, and they interacted with the community. So in that instance, it was a game where the player characters, I think, have a really good time, since Eberron is, I think, out again, right? Or you could experience Eberron now in its own 5e methods or ways. You can have a really good time just being in one place and playing up what happens in that city. And the city's already built, so it's not quite like an island starting from scratch, but it would let you have interaction with the city. Any other take on this topic? I think this is a good topic.
It's pretty snazzy.
Yeah, but that will let you have like a feel. I think it's pretty awesome that you have a keep or a mansion in your Up for the Shrubs in another game.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really fun for us to find a way to turn that into a role-playing game situation after you survive Trapsylvania.
Oh.
If you survive Trapsylvania, make you pay for what?
The entire mansion.
They're gonna make you pay for it.
Yeah, because I'm rich.
Oh, with those characters.
Well, either characters.
Oh, I think you're talking about about Betty and stuff. These characters are mentioned.
No, but we could do like, I think they're thinking of one for this too.
Okay, so
we do this for like everything.
Gotcha. But yeah, so I think I think why this is a fun topic is I think that it's definitely an aspect of role playing that we're exploring for the first time in a while. Between the dungeon crawls with our DCC game is what happens between the adventures and turning those into adventures. And Shannon said the last save point transmutes them into 5e.
No!
Oh, it'd be so much fun.
No!
For a one-shot, that'd be fun.
No.
What would Betty be? Not Betty, I'm sorry. What would Kyle would be a human wizard, and August would be a halfling rogue. And let me try to think here. This is actually really freaking simple, because you would just be a cleric, a human cleric. And
Hiding away. The 5e can't catch me from here.
The 5e can't catch.
If I can't see it, it can't see me.
Sounds like a lot of folks in the coronavirus. Okay. Well, great topic, and I think that was fun. And we're gonna move on. We're running a little late today, so let's wrap up. We're gonna talk again this week about Feeding America, www.feedingamerica.org, with the coronavirus kind of raging and folks that might have food insecurity. This is a great charity that everyone can get behind. If you would rather donate to your local food banks, please consider doing so. Also, if you can donate with money, that's great. You know, the last thing that really people want is whatever the canned food is out of your pantry that you don't want to eat. Like, I'm sure the kids that are kind of hungry right now and with food insecurity don't want your beets and your mixed vegetables from Aldi's, okay? So I watched a good video once about what food banks need, and it's like fresh vegetables and real food. But give what you can, obviously, and I think it's something we can all support. No Kickstarter shoutouts this week. If you've got one you think we should talk about, then send it to dccjudgeev@gmail.com, and Evie will go through it. Road Crew shoutouts, I got nothing here either. Things are kind of dry right now in the online gaming scene. I know Gen Con Online's happening. Don't know what's going on with that. So I'm throwing all my games together on my own. Where to find us? Judge Evie, where are we?
We are at I Live for Crits on Twitter, Living for Crits on Instagram, and search Living for Crits on YouTube.
All right. Well, stay safe, stay healthy, stay together, and I'm going to wrap up and just say, flourish,